Hello and welcome to Navigating Convocast, our third episode in video. We are consistent and you can watch our previous episodes. I have gotten some very good feedback about it that we are discussing some very good points. So I think in first episode we talked about role of social media in the Charlie Kirk incident and Nepal incident, and then I think it was Gangs of New York last time around. And Zui missed those two episodes because she's apparently too busy for this free gig that we have offered her. But she's back. She's back now. Hello, Zui. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I would recommend you to speak a bit louder. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay. I am good. How are you guys?
I am
I'm
great.
great as
A-
always.
Great.
As usual, Vedant is unfazed with life. And yeah, this week, what's going on, Zui? You had some very interesting thing that you shared on our group. So I would like you to share that.
Yeah. So, I came across this post on Instagram which basically talked about how we don't own things anymore. We just have the feeling of owning it, and we're actually really just renting it. For example, if we are subscribing to Netflix, perhaps you're just renting a movie for that time period, and only in that time you can watch it. But it's nothing compared to owning a DVD set, for example, or owning a book and reading a paywall article. So all of these things is what the article talked about, how we are just renting things and not owning anything. So while I was reading that article, I was thinking, yeah, they're right. We're not owning anything. It's so horrible. We don't get to own anything these days. We're just renting stuff. And that's what I'm thinking when I'm reading the article. And when I went to the comment section, like all of us do these days, which is so weird because that was not the norm
Yeah.
before. But I went to the comment section, and one of the very first comment actually read that they don't agree with this post because what is wrong with renting things? Why is there a notion around owning everything that we can own? Why do we have to do that? We can rent things, and that's still okay. You don't have to own everything. And then when I read this comment, I was like, yeah, actually, I don't have to own everything. It's fine if I rent it. So this got me thinking that it's so easy to get manipulated when you're on social media, and that's what I discussed with you, Avnish. That I read the post, I thought one thing, then I read a comment, and I thought the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And you very smartly said something which I think you should say now.
Uh, I think this happened with me, so I started with that because a few, maybe even just few months ago, or even this happens with me now as well, in terms of, or at least for topics that I'm not very familiar with, that you tend to agree with a creator because he's very good in putting his or her point forward, and then you read the comments and you're like, okay, this is also logical, and you're kind of overwhelmed because in that moment. And I think our brain is wired that way to immediately solve a conflict. No one will sit on that conflict and say, what can we do? I mean, let's just skip this. We can't do that. We immediately try to solve whatever question we have in our mind, and we are constantly trying to go, okay, this is right, okay, no, okay, I will be safer, or my survival will be, or the chances of my survival will be higher if I just figure this thing out. And that's why you don't like conflict, because you think conflicts are something that will hamper our survival in some weird way. But the world has changed now. But still, so this is what happens with social media, because we are so now familiar with these quick 1 minute decisions, because it is endless, it is random, so anyone can come on to your feed and they say something, and we make a decision very quickly whether to skip it or whether to listen to that person, then read the reactions. But we have to remember that we don't have to make these decisions and choices, because social media will never provide us with 100% information, or the opinion will not be nuanced, because it's just impossible to do so. So I am trying to make reels where I'm trying to put forward a point, but often I realize while writing a script, if I go and talk about everything, The script won't be of 1 minute 30 seconds. It goes beyond 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or even 4 minutes. Or even if you give me a platform and set no time limit, I might talk about the same thing for 30 minutes, which is which makes us feel a bit overwhelmed, because in that 1 minute there's a lot of information that is packaged. So yeah, I was completely with you on this, because it happened, or it happens with me as well, for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, and so just yesterday I watched this reel of Anurag Kashyap. He was talking on a podcast where he was talking that he doesn't like AI. He's never going to use ChatGPT because he prefers the old school way of books and stuff like that. And then after that, he said that he also doesn't like this subscription model, which she was talking about, Netflix and stuff. He said that he still keeps physical copies of movies, and he talked about some old movie and said, I have this at home, can you find it for me on the internet somewhere, right? And that is the same conflict with video games as well. Earlier we used to have CDs, we used to have physical copies, but right now everything was on Steam or digital. And the main issue people have with that is that it can disappear anytime. You actually just pay for that service and you don't actually physically own that item. So it can basically disappear every time, and that is the main issue people have with subscription and stuff like that. But coming to your point about the conflict when you read the comments and everything, I thought about it when you told me about it, and what I felt was, whenever we watch a reel like this, may it be about renting or stuff like that, it's because we actually have no knowledge about it, that we immediately see some creator's reel or we see something. Our brain does not have any information about it, so we probably tend to agree with that creator or whatever they are saying. Then we read the comments and everything, because it's basically impossible to know everything about everything all at once. That is what happens with me. So that is why whenever I see something, I feel like, oh, he's talking about this, he must be right, because I have no prior knowledge or opinion about it. Then I go to the comments, I read some contrasting views, and then I can probably form my opinion. So what I feel when it comes to this is, you can treat this content, or you can treat whatever you see on social media as an entry point to information that you don't have prior knowledge about, and then you can actually go to the internet, you can read both point of views. You can read, if it's a product you're about to buy, you can read reviews. If it's something happened that happened recently, you can read 4 to 5 different publications, reports on it, whatever happened, and then probably you can come to a conclusion. Because in the comment section everybody is just fighting, and it's just a difference of opinion every time, whatever the creator is saying, or it's sometimes it's just for engagement. So what I felt was that we could treat these as entry points, and then read about it, and then come to a conclusion, instead of just forming an opinion after watching a reel or reading the comments.
And also talk with people, because
Yeah,
often,
hear different point of views, right?
yeah, and just share what you heard and ask, okay, what do you feel about this? And I think that how there are research papers now coming up that how talking with AI long term actually will cause more isolation, because right now people are actually finding it quite easy to just talk something with the AI chatbot, and it replies, and it helps emotionally, also it helps, and that's a good thing. But long term effects of AI are going to be more isolation, and long term effects of social media actually have resulted in more isolation, and that's what happened. Like, we might feel that we are alone in making this kind of a decision in that moment, and that's why these emotions, we feel overwhelmed by these emotions. Okay, what is the right answer? But in
Yeah.
reality, you have 5 people you can talk with about this if you really want to have the answer to this question. And it helps. I think human connection is going to be far more important than ever before now in
Yeah.
this technological world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I have another reel that I saw, and it was about Karan Johar. So it's a bit of a, you know moving past what we talked about right now, but it's about what we have, I think, discussed in our audio podcast a few months ago, where we talked about original scripts and other things. So this reel that I saw was Karan Johar talking about, okay, why do people talk with me, or why do people criticize me about launching Nepo kids? And he was talking about Alia Bhatt and the regular
Yeah.
Nepo kids, whatever it is. And then he said, I also launched this other guy who is the hero of Bads of Bollywood, I think. And he launched this guy, and it was a 52 crore film. No one is
In the
appreciating
movie
me.
Kill.
Yeah, kill. Yeah, no one is appreciating me for that. So I thought that he doesn't get the criticism what it is. It's not that okay, you just launch these nepo kids. It's that you don't make good films. And if
Yeah.
you make good films, you can hire anyone, and if they are good in it, no one will have a problem. But the thing is that when you are hiring someone within the family, within the industry, and the script is really bad and the acting is really bad, people will question why are you hiring these actors, just because they have a name, and that's the only reason you have taken them, because that name has value, and then people are going to see that movie because of that name. So no one is going to praise you for doing your job. That's your job, to just hire good actors and do good films. So if you do one good film with a relatively unknown actor, it's not something that people will praise you for. That's the job, man. I mean, what are you thinking? But I do get that directors will work with similar people. We see it with Hollywood directors. It's Wes Anderson will always work with Adrian Brody, for example, and Christopher Nolan will always work with Cillian Murphy. But that's different. I mean, that's also should not happen, but still that's different. And here, when you are seeing the first movie, and the movie is really bad and the acting is really bad, why would people say that you're not a good director, you're just using the name and making a film? That doesn't make sense. Yeah, that was just my point of view that I need
Yeah,
to
I
say.
think Yeah, I think this also shows that um, for all of the movies that Karan Johar has made, he has gotten all of this nepo kids wala hate. That you're always giving preferential treatment to the nepo kids, and you're always hiring them in your movies, and you're making these huge, big budget, very extravagant movies, and it's always the nepo kids who get benefits out of it. But if you see, just carrying on to the thing that you just said, Avnish, if you see, Alia Bhatt is also a nepo kid, and she got the hate for making movies with Karan Johar when it was her initial time, but she also redeemed herself
Yeah.
with good movies. So that's the way that you should do it. You can still make good movies, but you choose not to make it because you're
Mm.
putting too much effort in getting all of these big budget actors who really, I mean, do they need the money? No.
Yeah.
It's just about having that status, and getting that kind of money that a person in your stature will get. That's all it's about. And then no one pays attention to what kind of story that you're getting out. It's just normal, boring, same thing over and over again. For Karan Johar, we just know that it's a Karan Johar movie.
Yeah.
You don't have to think twice about that. And there is still time to that you can redeem yourself. He made Kill. People actually did appreciate him for making that movie. The movie got a lot of positive response. It was a very good movie, and a lot of critics, a lot of people, they actually did appreciate that movie. So he cannot say that he did not get
Yeah.
appreciation, but you cannot expect yourself to get all of the appreciation that you did not get by making
Mm.
one movie, and making 100 other movies that were just copies of Western movies or your own movie probably.
And
Yeah.
also, why are we discussing this? I mean, people can just say, okay, who cares, anyways, about mainstream? The thing is that when, again, this subject becomes a subjective subject, that do films matter and everything. I think that everything matters, of course. And when people watch a movie in India, where if you see someone on a screen, the impact that person has is tenfold to someone who is trying to send out a positive message, but that message won't be heard. If he goes
Yeah.
on to TV or he goes on a big screen, then that will happen. And in India especially, I'm talking about, movies play such a big role, because people actually point out two movies for the source of their opinion. So that's why I feel there should be good mainstream movies, because no one is actually going and searching for a film and watching a film or an art film that supposedly gives a different kind of message, puts a mirror in front of people. They're not doing that. So that's why it's very important that these big names do some good movies. It's not even that we want every movie to be serious. It can be a funny movie as well, but just to for people to understand how this country is, and it works in elevating them as citizen, to make them aware about what things are. And that's why it's very important that mainstream movie business improves a bit, and new actors and new script writers get opportunities to present their talent and present good art that will be talked about, and that will cause people to be more aware about how and how to shape this country. So that's why I think it matters so much that we are talking about
Yeah.
Karan Johar, and we'll also talk about Big Boss at some point, because that matters so much
Yes.
as well for the Indian audience.
My favorite show.
Yeah, it is kind of, it is good. Yeah. So and it actually comes from 1984 Big Brother book. The 1984 book that was written by George Orwell. So he was born in India as well. So I think he knew that there will be a multi-billion-dollar show on my book. So that's why he wrote it.
I
So
mean, he was born in Bihar, right?
yes,
So probably used to the chaos
yeah.
around.
I
And
think 1984 is a mirror of Bihar set in the background of the world, I think, yeah. Because
yeah.
Bihar government would have killed him at that point as well, I think. That's what. Anyways, not a political show. Uh, so we were talking about, okay, I just said that, and we are moving to why governments control information. Um, I wanted to talk about this because in the last, I think, 2-3 months, we have seen the US government try to ban books, and we know for a fact that the church actually burned scientific books
Yeah.
in the few hundred years ago. And I wanted to talk about why information matters so much. There are countless stories in our lore as well. I think Sant Jnaneshwar is also one of the biggest examples, where he wrote the interpretation of Bhagavad Gita in Marathi language, and a lot of people didn't know Sanskrit at that point, so he wanted to share that knowledge with the common people, and he also got a lot of backlash to be used in like the modern word, but it wasn't backlash, it was like banishment, I think. And
Yeah.
his books were also burned because I think information plays such a key role. This tells us that information plays a huge, such a like a big role in everyone's life, and that's why control of it is so important. And before going into detail, I think Zui, you have a very interesting poem for it, or very interesting few lines, which I amazingly love, because I was searching for it. So I had this topic in mind, and I was searching, okay, should I ask Chat GPT to create something that will just open this conversation, but you had it, so go on.
Yeah. So my dad, a few days ago, we were just talking about something, same kind of topics where government is censoring a lot of things these days, and it was more about how manipulation of information happens when it is coming from authorities. How a lot of information gets manipulated along the way, and the information that reaches the end audience is really not what the truth is. So he told me a very nice poem which he heard in a news channel, and the poem is by this guy called Gorakh Pandey, and the poem goes like, राजा ने कहा रात है, रानी ने कहा रात है, मंत्री ने कहा रात है, संतरी ने कहा रात है, सब ने कहा रात है, ये सुबह सुबह की बात है. So I
Amazing.
think it's just
Yeah.
self-explanatory what it all means.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's also the bitter truth of today, and I think for the
Yeah.
longest time this has been the case.
Can you also just tell the meaning in English as well?
So it means that the king said it is night, the queen also said it is night, the minister said it is night, the all of the citizens said it is night, and it was actually daytime.
Yeah.
So ये सुबह सुबह की बात है, and it was actually in the morning that all of these people were saying that it's night.
Yeah.
It started with the king saying that, it ended up to the all of the citizens also saying the same thing.
Yeah. So it makes sense, and manipulation of information is even more key to politics these days because of social media and because of the internet. So internet was supposed to be like this liberation, and it is to some extent for us because we actually can find out a lot of truth. But I would want to refer to this book I'm reading, Amusing Ourselves to Death, where Neil Postman actually writes about another author who had a novel, Brave New World, written or published in 1932, where he suggested that people won't control truth, or the governments or the authorities won't control the truth from reaching us, but rather they will give us so much information that truth will drown in the sea of irrelevance. So we are seeing this happen. A lot of governments want to have their own agenda put out, and I think there was this latest news that the current government has made some changes in the CBSE syllabus, where they have removed some chapters and added some modern chapters that happened, under Narendra Modi. So I just wanted to know your opinion. Why do you think governments or people in power do it? What are they afraid of? Why does information matter? Why do you think this happens usually in all the countries, not just in India?
Yeah, so I think basically it's very simple that governments or leaders, they know that people will only follow them or support them if they are, if their image is strong and that they're honest and that they're good and they are doing everything for the people, doing what's in people's best interest. And so that is the image that they want to create. And if any of the bad things, like the scams or the corruption or whatever they have done, starts coming out, then they know that the people will protest, like what happened in Nepal. They overturned the government. So that is why it is very important for the government to control the narrative, control the information. And that is why we see that majority of the mainstream publications in any given country are in the favor of the government. It's not like they control it fully, but they are a bit biased, because after all, if they want to stay in business, if they want the money, then they have to be in favor of the government. So that is why basically the government wants to control the narrative. And another reason is that if they just keep feeding or they keep showing people their version of things, people will start believing that it's the truth. And it's particularly true in the age of social media, where the attention span is so less. And we talked about this earlier, that we watch some reel and we immediately start to think that it's true instead of any kind of research. So that is what the government makes complete use of in countries all over the world, that they only feed the narrative that they want the public to think. And sooner or later it becomes the only version, because as you said, there is so much of information around us that you get new information or new news every single day. So then that version becomes outdated, and then whatever opinion you had of that version, your brain just remembers that, hey, this is what happened, this is maybe the truth, and your brain only recollects that. So that is one thing. And the second thing I feel is that uh, journalists, stand-up comedians, artists, these are the people who usually have the liberty, or they use their art to speak out against the issues that are going on. So when the government does something for on one or two artists or one or two stand-up comedians, then that becomes an example. They don't have to do it with everyone, but other artists start feeling afraid because of what they saw happen to that one particular artist. So it just takes probably one or two cases like these to for the government to have everything in their favor. And then of course the public is also scared to voice out their opinions, because if people like these cannot stay safe, then what position are we in to do anything?
Yeah, I think like Avnish also, like Vedant also just said, one of the key things that happens in these times is that what happens to us is that we watch one reel, or we just read one post perhaps, and we think that this is real information. This is all the information that I need to form an opinion. And also, like one more point in this is that if a lot of information which is against the government or criticizing the government gets out, then it also gets amplified a lot faster because of social media.
Yeah.
So that's also one thing, that if a comedian is probably making a critique about the government, he's making a joke about something, that information is going to get amplified a lot faster in these days. So that is one thing which they need to control, which government needs to control, because social media makes this very easier. It's going to reach a lot of people, and then probably some people are going to think that yeah, this is right, and they're going to switch to that side of the argument and not be in the favor of the government. So that is one thing. And the second thing is this, that we form opinions so fast these days. We're not thinking about reading further on that matter. We don't think about okay, I've read about this. Like Vedant also said, that we don't see these posts as an entry point into information. It is all the information that we need, and that's how people are forming opinions these days. It's either on social media, or it's just one discussion that you've had with one person, and you're so quick to make an opinion about something. You don't hear different sides of it. You're not speaking to people anymore. There is isolation, like Avnish said. We are talking to ChatGPT probably, and all of these sources are not they're neither adequate nor are they expansive to give you all of the information that there is. And you're not going to get all of the information, but you should at least try to get
Yeah.
as much information as you can of that subject before you form an opinion that impacts what kind of lifestyle you have, or what kind of if I think that the government is doing everything for me, it's the best government that there is right now, I am never going to strive to make changes. I am never going to speak out about what bothers me, because I think that okay, this one thing is going wrong, but 10 other things are going good, only because I read it on social media, or someone told me about it. Someone told me about how probably an MLA or some politician fixed their road. When I complained once, they fixed my road. If someone says something like that, you're gonna think that oh, okay, politicians are doing everything that they can for us, and
Yes.
just this one thing I can adjust. I'll adjust, and I will let them do their thing, because they're doing everything that they can for me. But that's not it. I think resistance is very important for functioning, and that resistance is what they're trying to control with withholding information and censoring a lot of things. And it's not just critique about the government, it's also the kind of liberal thought processes that movies try to bring forward. It might be kissing scenes, it might be sexual scenes, and all of these things. Even that is censored to an extent where it almost feels as if it's controlling, or
Yeah.
like very controlling. When you think about Western cinema, that cinema has gone forward way before, and we're still stuck at reducing a 6-minute kissing scene to probably 2 minutes. That seems very it's very backward for us, I think, right now, because we've come a long way from there. Western cinema is, I think, they are light years ahead of us. But for us at least, we can stop with this squabble that we're having with censorship
Yeah.
of movies and all of these things, and we can move forward now.
Yeah.
Not
So-
this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Nanda.
just that these are signs of weak authority. I mean, if you see these signs where someone in power is trying to censor something, control information, because if it is a false information, it is actually very easy to prove that it is false. So you are at no harm. But the moment you try to censor something, remove something, it's very evident that there is something to it, and there is some substance to that you don't want people to know,
Yeah.
because you are trying to maintain that kind of image. I think censorship is a very good point that happens a lot, not just in movies but also in news business, and also in other business, and we can't speak about a few things. I think I was going to yeah, so there's another movie, and again, why movies are so important. Sant Tukaram, it's another Marathi movie, right? It had amazing dialogues, but another example of censorship. So Sant Tukaram is not a higher caste Brahman, I think, and he can't write the verses, right? But he does it anyways because he says who has stopped us, like who has created these rules, and it's kind of giving freedom to the commoners, like common citizens, and he's like anyone can write. It's not the higher priests and it's not just the kings and stuff. You can write it, you can express, and I can express. And he obviously faces a lot of backlash because again people in power know that if the common people are liberated and given that kind of freedom, they will question us and my authority will go, because that authority is not based on credit or credibility. It's not based on legitimacy. It's based on lack of information, gap of information, misinformation, and that's what you have to remember. And there's another dialogue and another scene where a lady along with her husband comes to Santa Tukaram, and she says that, I really love your dohas and verses and abhangas. Sorry, I really love your abhangas, which are basically poems and phrases and verses. And she says, please make me your disciple, I want to give my life to you. And he sits down with her and he says, if you want to give your life to someone, why not give it to yourself and be self enlightened? So this is such a strong message, and what you were talking about, that if you want to give your life to someone, whether it's a politician or an actor, why do it for them? Just do it for yourself. Be self enlightened. Be as if they are not better than you. You are equal to them, and you can do something that enlightens you. They don't have to do it for you. So such a strong message, and yeah, just amazing. And lastly, yeah, I just feel that in this world of information now, we are not, at least few hundred years ago the communities were isolated, and that's why whatever happened within the communities. But now the world is our community now, and in a digital way, I'm saying. And same problems still exist, but the thing is that everyone sees a different problem now, and that's why we sometimes forget what is being shown to us. So yeah, I think these were more points.
I think
Anything? Yeah.
just while we are on this,
Mm.
because we are talking about how social media amplifies stuff and everything. So I had some examples of how it has happened in India as well. So do you remember in 2021 when there were the farmers' protests going on, and Rihanna and then I think Greta Thunberg had tweeted in favor of the protest,
Yeah.
and suddenly the government became so insecure because, as you said, that it is sign of a weak authority, that I don't know if you had seen back then, but every actor, every celebrity, every person that has an influence over the audience, they were tweeting stuff like, this is our internal matter, we should not listen to people outside who are talking about it. And everyone was tweeting with the hashtag that, India should stand together in this difficult time. So they were using patriotism to overshadow their own shortcomings, which is so, I mean, it is so ridiculous. And then another case was that when BBC produced a documentary on the 2002 Gujarat riots, the government simply banned it from censoring, like it censored it and we could not watch it at all. And again, they were saying that, it's propaganda and everything, whereas it's a documentary. And even if it is propaganda, why not let people watch and then decide for themselves? Why are you trying to control what people should think? Like, let them watch, and if you are innocent, like if you are saying that, it's propaganda and they're trying to portray bad stuff about us, then let people watch. And if you are actually in the good, then let them decide. No, like, why are you trying to control it? Even recently, when the Adani case against Hindenburg came out, a Delhi court actually instructed journalists and various public, like the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, sent out notices to people like Ravish Kumar, News Laundry, and other independent YouTube journalists to take down content against Adani because it was defamatory. Like, how can you actually instruct journalists or media, because it is supposed to be unbiased and it is supposed to be transparent and inform people or educate people. And if you are trying to control the media, the court is trying to control the media, then it just says what type of a government you are. And another very interesting thing that I found out uh, was, I don't know if you heard about it. Recently, a journalist in Uttarakhand, he was a YouTube journalist by the name of Rajiv Pratap. He disappeared. So basically, what he was doing, he was reporting on his YouTube channel about the corruption that goes on in the hospitals in Uttarakhand. And Uttarakhand is a BJP ruled state, and suddenly he disappeared. His wife was like, contacted me last night at 11 p.m. And then everyone on social media started talking about it, that a journalist like this has disappeared, and something is wrong and stuff like that, because he was reporting against the government. And then yesterday, the police found out, or the police are claiming that he was intoxicated and he died in a car accident because he was drunk, basically. So we would never know. But again, I found a statistic that out since 1992, around 61 journalists have been killed in India for their reporting. And from 2014 to 2024, 39 of these cases are still unresolved. And India ranks 13th in the there is a index for countries where the journalists are killed based on the percentage of the population. So India ranks 13 in that. So what better example there could be of the government trying to control information, when the very people that are supposed to give information to the people are being treated like these.
Yeah, there was a famous case of Jamal Khashoggi as well, right? The Saudi prince was involved in that because he was
Yeah,
going to reveal
beheading.
how, yeah, what's going on in Saudi Arabia. And also information, I'm not just talking about this information, I'm also talking about information that goes on in the
Yeah,
education system as well. And
yes,
we see, because why didn't the British actually regret educating us? Because once they educated us, leaders were born, and leaders said that the conditions that we are in, those are not good. So it was their mistake, but they obviously had to give us education because they wanted workers. So
yeah,
that's the balance a lot of governments now take, where they give enough education where they can have a working class people, but they don't give enough education where they can question the authorities. So and this happens because you look at government schools in villages in India, they are pathetic. And even in our schools, those who were those like all of us who are privileged enough to at least get that kind of education, we also see that no one actually encourages questioning the authority. I mean, you can't question your teacher, you can't question your the scientist as well. Like I just remember that I was very young and I didn't know like Einstein, and I just heard somewhere, or I read somewhere, that Einstein actually worked on a lot of Newton's theories and earlier science. And I just said that. Like, I didn't know. I was a kid, man. I just said
yeah.
that, and that teacher got so offended. She said, "How can you say that?" She made me stand up and say that, have you ever even read something that Einstein has written? And so, she जलील कर दिया मुझे क्लास के सामने.
Einstein Paglu.
And I was like, oh, okay, did I say something wrong? And then I realized, oh, all right. I mean, no, I did say something wrong, but there are ways, man. You can actually encourage me, right? Okay, you think so, you may be right. Why not find out and give me 3 reasons why you think so? Go home, do that for our homework. Don't give me these math sums that you teach are way simpler, and the homework sums are so difficult that
Yeah.
I can't solve them. So yeah, but yeah, information matters. All right, I think we are done. Zui, anything else before we end?
Yeah, just like your story, even when I was a student in school, we had this the diary that we have at school, which marks all of our attendance and homework and all of those things. So it also had a page in the beginning which had to mention caste and subcaste. And my father is against all of these things, and he taught me the same. So I was never the one to write anything in that column, and I always left it blank. So for the longest, I mean, as far as I remember, every year I was literally scrutinized for. I was punished. I was sent out of class. I was sent to the principal's office, and every time it was always for this reason that I have not written my caste. I have not written my subcaste, and I have I have seen the teachers write it in my diary by themselves when I decided not to write it, and obviously they could not tell my parents to, make me write it because they were the ones to tell me not to do
Yeah.
it. So I have seen this happen. I've seen the authorities to. I've seen this authoritarian behavior since school, and I think all of us have seen this.
Yeah.
Even my sister, who's younger now, she whenever she goes to banks and doing whatever legal work that there is, so all of these paperwork things. Whenever you go to places like these, people never give you information. They don't give you enough information for you to do that process easily,
Yeah.
and you are always scared of questioning them. I don't
Yeah.
know how we came to this point. You are so scared to ask ki, just tell me what the process is, just tell me which booth to go to, what form to fill, and I will do that. But you never ask that, and you're always scared. But thankfully I did not do that because I was just taught that way. But I can see my sister when she struggles through all of this, and I remember my time when I struggled, but thankfully I did not come to this point. Must
Yeah.
be the story for so many people we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be against that, that is why I wear India. I don't believe in religion and caste. India.
India. Bharat.
उस रिलीजन के कॉलम में हम इंडिया लिखते हैं.
Indian. कहाँ से हो? Indian. India से.
Indian.
India से.
बस इंडिया.
Just waiting for the this thing. The what do they do? Census. The form आएगा. I will feel.
I don't
will
think
fill up.
that is
I'm an
happening.
atheist.
Yeah, I don't think that is happening till the next election year because they'll
Yeah.
do it in that year and then
So like
see how things goes.
1.2 CR, 1 crore Hindus, like remaining Muslims and Buddhists and Jain, 3 atheists. So, all right, okay, we are done for today. If you like our episodes, subscribe to me on Instagram where I put up small facts, entertaining facts about how information shapes our lives. And I have also started the newsletter where I am trying to solve this exact problem. There is too much information, and we can't really make up like what to think about a major story that is affecting India. So I just pick up that topic, put up all the sources, sit 1 hour, and just give my own summary. And then if you want to dive deep, I give links for articles and also papers and research papers, peer-reviewed research papers, and everything. So you can, click on that as well and try to read.
Nice.
All right, we are done. Thank you, Vedant. Thank you, Zui, for being here, and we'll meet next time. I said my phrase before the ending phrase. We will meet next time, the guests and I, and for the audience, until next time.